I just put up well, I put up a while ago. I got busy talking with some of the gentlemen at the local coffee shop, but they were talking about politics. I was just sitting there listening in my statistical Polgo statistical inference of convex optimization, just listening to what's going in the ear and what's coming out the mouth on diagnostics of what their interpretation is. They had a whole conversation about Epstein, Clinton, and Trump, and the whole children island. And I'm like, I listened for a while, and finally I'm like, gentlemen, can I stop you? Can I say something? Gentlemen, can I say something? And they weren't listening. And I said, okay, I'll wait. I was like, and then there's another gentleman there who saw me try. I said, can I just stop you for a second, gentlemen? And they weren't. Two men were just going back and forth. So I waited for an in. And I finally looked at the other gentleman and I said, I guess I can't get a word in edgewise. I said, Occam's razor, I don't know, whatever. So I just sat and I waited. And then finally I said, are you two finished? I said, right, okay, got it. So one of you will die on the sword for Clinton. One of you will die on the sword for Trump. I get that. For me, like, whatever. I'm not going into politics. I'm not getting into names. Just want to build a structure for you for 1 second. Are you aware that in the way that your government is structured, that there is always a parental and then a child relationship between the inner workings of our governance? And they're like, what? And I said, okay, here's an example. There is a government office called NOAA, N-O-A-A, National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. They have a parent office, and then they have a child relationship. Is it possible, if we're speaking of presidents who happen to speak on agency things, that they're not speaking of a one physical individual human and molesting that individual, that perhaps they're speaking about molesting an agency being an office and the way that the office and leadership are run? Is that possible, gentlemen? And they're like, he goes, this is fine. They just didn't know, which was fine. But it brought up a good point for me on the diagnostics of everybody with mental cases, on the way that they hear things and wrap and warp their mental association, automatically jumping to a conclusion that isn't so. It's actually something different, which is why there's a 4-word pair for fake, F-A-K-E. Thing is, I don't know what head case knows what the word fake means. Because nothing is really real to any of you, because not one of you have the same story or is running off of the same guideline. So here we are I'm still sitting here in a coffee shop waiting with people denying me. They don't know their bank charter laws. They don't know. Oh, and then they were talking about the Black Lives Matter thing. And he's like, well, why is it then in the 1950s they were giving only the white GIs houses and mortgages? And I was like, I can answer that. I said, that's because they are under Admiral law and King's law. And that's a totally suitable way of building a neighborhood. I said, the way that you have it where everybody's equal, yeah, go get your own financier and go get your own neighborhood. Stop pushing up and encroaching on things that were already established to take care of certain people, to then help them grow strong and help fix the rest of what's broken. Why do you all constantly want to change what's not up to you? Must be a human thing. I don't know. The gods get it and the immortals get it. It's just you fucking stupid fucking humans don't get it. So anyway, so I put up there the brandish and marketing. On one side, it's brand and marketing, brandish and marketing. That's my Germanic side, although I don't know how they twisted the Fruit Loops. So they, I believe, are under the statistical inference of Polgo. Polgo being, I have a stick that bounces. Okay, that's in the 1950s. If things don't get correct for Polgo and it gets worse, now all of a sudden it's going to become a Polgo ball. It's going to be a ball on the top, a ball on the bottom, and a platform in the middle. You won't have a stabilization stick. You'll just have your 2 feet on either side of the ball squeezing together and trying to jump up and down. You won't have the same lift and force that you had when it was a stick with a supporting mechanism for your endeavor of trying to jump on a tiny little stabilization stopper at the bottom as you go up and down. On the Russian side of things and Krylik side of things, I think we stayed in, right, and then they had a cross-reference, whatever. Okay, so it was a zenith stick. I said, do Polgo over here for the convex, and over in Russia, I said, I want them to have the hula hoop, but name that the same. I was like, but give them the zenith stick, because I need my Russian Mir, M-I-R, in my Vladimir for Svetlana dad, in Russia, to know that the zenith stick is the imaginary pole system that goes through the ball that they think on a circle that they spin. And then over in America, I'm hoping that one of the dads that got up to space with Mir, he remembers a Polgo stick. There's a mathematical, when you're testing a hypothesis in like smart dads, like space station dads, right? And I found the white Russian and I found the white American. Oh my God, they still do exist. It's amazing. I'm the extraterrestrial. Yeah. Oh, an immortal. Yeah, we do exist. Look at that. It's amazing when we all get together. So when you test a hypothesis, there's a Polgo method. Huh? Okay, duh. So you don't need to have a gigantic box room with stadium seating, sold out venue to the parents of don't know fucking shit, right? And then you stand at the front of the room with the chalk and you talk, and now you have a paid for audience. Like you became the apostle of that's fine when they're all standard GI approved non-colorless zafruta. When you change your audience to the nations of hide and seek and I don't know, other Christian whatever mixes, then, and the facially disturbed mongoloid IDs for idiocy and lunacy, then it becomes a problem, because now what you speak at the front of the room with like you're somebody special with the chalk teaching, right? Okay, see, in practicality and actuality, when you teach something in a hypothesis or theoretical, the people you're teaching have better been security approved for that education. There is a very definitive list of who gets to learn and who doesn't, because not everybody is Zodiac approved. Some of them are sitting there and they have very devious natures. Like they're planning to take down a lot of the world by getting the education that you at the front of the room, like, oh, they seem so nice. Right, yeah, we get that you're that area stupid. It's part of your mental deciphering. Like you got the decoder ring out of the 1950s, and you put it on. You said, I'm gonna be a superhero and decode things that work for NSA and CSS, and oh my God. And then you don't do anything with all of the deciphering that you've done. You've done no police work that's proper. You've gotten nothing right. You've let the facially disturbed mongoloids over here, and they've taken over and changed things, and then told people that they were wrong. And now they think there's a common misconception, and you can't fix it, because now you have too many differences in one supposed to be equal equation. See, if you have one white and one white, clearing up a misconception is very easily. If you have one white, one black, one Chinese, and one caramel, and two say it's this way and two say it's this way, now you have a really big misconception. How are you ever fixing things? Right, so you take all of the children that don't belong and you put them back where they do belong. Now, we fix things where the one person who had a misconception, we need to rebuild. That's the way it works. why are you also lost? You've got your thought pattern all convexed. And now you've taught people, because you wanted to be Mr. Ego, like at the front of the room with the lambda and the chalk, and now you've taught them once, they can now replicate that to anyone they want. You can't chase the one student that you had. Now you have 100 students in one classroom that you taught 60 years ago, times 60 years of an education degree, times how many students, times how many countries, times how many are they going to go then teach? And you think that they're just going to stay in a theoretical and a hypothetical and not actually want to practice it or put it into actuality. Is that what you humans actually think? Then what the fuck do you need to educate everybody for? They don't need aerospace engineering degrees. They need farming degrees. They need how do you build a society degrees. They don't need to learn polymathematics and theoretical, like how do you test a hypothesis and like the statistical inverse of convex via convex on a whatever optimization. Do you understand? You keep learning these things. They keep giving you more and more words to explain them, more symbols to explain them. You teach more people. Now they're going to want to practice that. The problem comes in the practicing. Don't teach it. Don't say it, don't speak it, don't promote it. They won't know it exists. They'll forget about it, and we go back to safety. Why do you insist that everybody has to be smarter than everybody else, and you have to continue with your ego of teaching them dangerous things? If you don't want them to practice, don't teach it. Do you understand? Great. Now why can't you follow that simple demand by the immortals? I'm just curious. I saw, by the way, I know there were UFO reports, which was when the CIs were working with the immortals on, we have a mind of our own. We walk a very special, whatever we are, in immortal territory, and we help the larger law enforcement then enforce other area of rules because we have a larger problem at hand. There's another thing that, and I know people are like, oh, I have a mind of my own. No, you don't. These are things the little parrots say. They don't know. I'm Mary, Mother of God. There was a Last Supper. At the Last Supper, the people we invited were in a painting. That's what they looked like. Good. Each one of those people, by Mary, I was Mary in this situation, gave out a flat square map. FLATMAP. Okay? Good. It was a placemat. PLACEMAT. So Mary gave out at her dinner party, being the Last Supper, SUPPER, because me and Niklaus were both there. He was playing Jesus, I was playing Mary Magdalene in the big photo that they painted with the right stuff. Okay, so anyway, so that's who got to the Last Supper. There we gave out flat map placemats, and we had everybody had a big dinner plate at their placemats. That's how we set up leadership. And that's in our sanctum. Then they were given jobs and responsibilities from that dinner with the placemat given. The thing is that we did not authorize any of the men at that meeting, with me being the only woman, to then go out and invite other friends. Do you understand? You're not allowed. If you were at that meeting and given one of those plates and placemats for the flat map, you're not just allowed to go around the world and invite other people to the placemat that your dinner plate is seated on. Where did we lose you in you're not authorized to make these kinds of decisions on Mary Magdalene being Nicole Cataruza and on Jesus being Niklaus Hitler? Same as Zeus as the ultimate god and Xena his wife, but Nicole prefers goddess NYX for Nyx. So, do you understand? These are actual things. You don't have a mind of your own because you don't even know they exist. It makes sense when I call attention to it, but you putting it together on your own, it's like you might as well be bouncing on a pogo stick and then switching to a pogo ball, because that's all you're going to think it ever is, and not that it is a universal way of explaining. I don't need to build them satellites and whatnot. Here, a plastic toy that you insisted you needed plastics is just as enough in actuality, practicality, to show them I'm not doing anything out in space, ever.